So, AI, it feels like it's everywhere, right? Like it just exploded into our lives overnight. But here's the really wild part. The very people building this stuff, the smartest minds in the field, they are completely, fundamentally divided on where it's all going. And when I say divided, I mean there is zero consensus.
And look, this isn't some small technical disagreement. It's a question with enormous stakes that's splitting the entire field right down the middle. So which is it? To figure that out, we really have to understand the two warring philosophies at the heart of it all.
So in one corner, you've got Yan Likun. He's a legend, a Turing Award winner, basically one of the godfathers of modern AI. And he's deeply skeptical. He thinks the current approach is heading for a dead end. In the other corner, you have the view represented by Adam, another top AI researcher. He believes we're on a rocket ship, an exponential curve, and that just making today's tech bigger and better is the way to go. To really get to the bottom of this, we're going to walk through the 5 key battlegrounds where they disagree. We'll look at how this tech even works, whether it truly understands anything, how it learns, where it's headed, and of course, what it all means for you and me.
Okay, let's start at the very beginning. What are we even talking about when we say AI? Well, deep down, at the core of models like ChatGPT is an idea that's actually been around for a while, the neural network. Just think of it like a computer system that's inspired by the brain. It's made of these simulated neurons, and they're all connected. It learns by tweaking how strong those connections are. And the biggest models today, we're talking about trillions of these connections. It's a mind-boggling scale. And Yan Likun has this perfect analogy for it. He says a neural network is to a real brain what an airplane is to a bird. You know, we didn't build a 747 by gluing feathers on a metal frame. We were inspired by the principle of flight. It's the same thing here. AI is inspired by the brain structure, but it's not a copy. So how does something like ChatGPT actually learn? Well, the process is kind of beautifully simple. You basically just feed it a giant chunk of the internet. And its only job over and over and over is to guess the next word in a sentence. Every time it gets it right, those internal connections get a tiny bit stronger. And if you do this trillions of times, something amazing happens. A kind of understanding just emerges. And this brings us to the really deep philosophical question. What is actually happening inside that web of connections? Is it just a super sophisticated parlor trick, or is there real understanding going on?
Let's just ask it straight up. When you talk to a chatbot and it seems to get what you're saying, to grasp these really complex ideas, is that real, or is it just an incredibly convincing illusion built on statistics?
And on this, our two pioneers couldn't be farther apart. Adam's answer is a clear yes. He says, look, they can solve new problems, they can talk about physics. That has to be real understanding. But Likun says, hold on, not so fast. He argues it's way more superficial because it's missing a key ingredient.
And that missing ingredient is reality. Likun's whole point is that our intelligence is grounded. The word apple means something to you and me because we've seen one, held one, tasted one. An LLM has only ever read the word apple. Its knowledge isn't connected to the physical world. It's like a reflection in a mirror. It looks real, but there's nothing behind it. And this idea of being grounded in reality, it leads right into the next huge point of debate. Just how unbelievably inefficient these AIs are at learning compared to us. Okay, so a big language model is trained on about 10 to the 14th power bytes of text. That's a 1 with 14 zeros. It's an insane number. To put that in perspective, it's about the same amount of text you would read if you read non-stop for 500,000 years. Now, compare that to a 4-year-old kid. Through sight, sound, and touch, a child takes in roughly the same amount of data. So, 500,000 years of reading for the AI versus just 4 years of being alive for the child. Likun argues that this huge gap in efficiency tells us we are missing something really, really big. And this quote from him just says it all. We have AIs that can do things most humans can't, like pass the bar exam. But we still don't have a single robot that can reliably clear a dinner table, a task a kid can learn in an afternoon. For Likun, this paradox is all the proof you need that the current path is deeply flawed. So, this all leads to the million-dollar question. We've got these systems that are brilliant in some ways and shockingly limited in others. So what's the right way forward if the goal is actual human-level intelligence? And here you have the two competing strategies. Adam's view is basically scale is all you need. Just keep making them bigger with more data and more computing power, and the amazing progress will continue.
But Likun says that's a dead end. He thinks we need a totally new architecture, a new design that can actually learn from the real world, not just from text.
And Likun backs this up with history. He says the field of AI is just littered with these false dawns, moments when everyone got super excited about one technique, only for it to hit a wall. He sees LLMs as just the latest chapter in a very old story of over-optimism. But Adam has a powerful counterpoint. Just look at the data. The progress isn't just happening, it's accelerating like crazy. Take problems from the International Math Olympiads, some of the hardest you can imagine. Just a couple of years ago, AIs were terrible at them. Now, they're performing at an elite human level. For Adam, this is undeniable proof that scaling is working. Now, this is not just some academic squabble. The way we answer these questions has massive, real-world consequences, especially when we start talking about who controls this technology and how we keep it safe. The two camps don't even agree on what the main danger is. Likun, since he thinks these AIs aren't really intelligent, isn't worried about some Terminator-style apocalypse. For him, the real, immediate danger is a few giant tech companies controlling all of our information. But Adam, who believes the power is scaling exponentially, sees the safety and alignment problem as absolutely critical. And this leads to a really fiery debate about open source. Likun argues passionately that these models have to be open for everyone to use and study. He compares it to the printing press, a tool for democracy that you can't let a few powerful people control. But the other side argues this technology is just too powerful to be let loose, that it needs to be developed carefully in closed, controlled labs to prevent misuse.
And so here we are, left with two totally different visions for the future. Do we keep charging down the path we're on, scaling it up and hoping for the best? Or do we admit that it has limits and go back to the drawing board to design something entirely new?
The answer to that question is going to determine everything. The minds of the future are literally being built, right now, as we speak, and their own architects can't even agree on the blueprint. So the question isn't just for them, it's for all of us. Which path should they take?